Chapter 58. Why aren't you packing up? Seeing Belch still standing there motionless, the blonde girl frowned, her eyes cold, saying, "Hurry up, I don't like things that other people have used, they're so dirty." It was as if she was the owner of the house, waiting for Belch to pack up and get out. The 16 or 17-year-old boy's temper was already not very good, and having to hear such words made him extremely angry, and he stormed over to Siddle. "We're not familiar at all," he said, "what right do you have?" Siddle looked up, her expression puzzled. "You don't want me here?" She raised her eyebrows. "All right, I have no problem with that. I can go now. By the way, before I go, I can help you choose a rehabilitation center for you." She held the phone with her slender fingers, shaking it in front of him. "Here, you choose the place you like." The girl gave an undisguised malicious smile, her tone indifferent. "Do you like regular batons or electric batons?" Belch. Was he being threatened? The teenage boy felt extremely humiliated, but then he heard Siddle's disdainful laughter. "Your place is just a small, remote town. If you hadn't asked me for help, you would have thought I would come here to manage that kind of." The girl trailed off, seemingly thinking, not knowing whether it was because she couldn't think of an adjective to describe it or if she had thought of it and didn't want to say it. In the end, she didn't say anything more, glanced at Belch meaningfully, and patted his cheek affectionately. "All right, since I'm here, as long as you obediently listen, I won't casually report to you." Belch shook her hand away in dissatisfaction, but Siddle didn't seem to care. She leaned against the window bars, her body swaying as she tried to find a comfortable position. "Dear little brother, you were so angry just now that I thought you wanted to hit me." The tone was mocking. Belch listened in one ear and out the other, only hearing the words, "So that's all." He pursed his lips and said nothing. "Siddle, if you don't plan on doing anything else, then quickly arrange a room for me. By the way," she seemed to remember something, glancing out the door, "are those people downstairs your friends? If you can't do it all, then ask them to come up and clean up. Also, don't let the brown-haired guy come up here, he looks a bit ugly, I can't stand ugly things." The boy with brown hair was Henry. Her expression was indifferent, giving orders very smoothly as if it was a matter of course. "Belch, sister." He wanted to object but remembered the plan of the people downstairs, decided to endure this humiliation first. "Okay." Belch went downstairs with a grumpy face. Thinking about Siddle's commanding tone and skillful intimidation skills even made him feel panicked. Why did the sister who was famous for being a good student look more delinquent than him? He remembered what his mother had told him about Siddle on the phone. Excellent moral character and academic performance, dignified and elegant, beautiful and generous. Damn it, there was no other word that was correct other than beautiful. His mother wasn't lying to him, was she? Finally, the boys squatted in the room that had been prepared for Siddle. Henry looked irritated, cursing and spitting out the window. "Fuck, when will you guys finish?" Richie carefully took out a box of worms from the desk drawer, receiving a look of disgust from the fat hawks. "Only you like to do disgusting things like this." "There's more," Richie muttered, taking out a small snake from the cupboard, but the snake was too slippery for him to catch, and it slithered over to bite his hand. The boy screamed and threw the snake out. "What's wrong with you?" Belch looked over in horror. "Didn't I tell you to just put in some disgusting things? Why did you put in a snake?" Richie covered his hand, frowning in pain. "It's okay, that snake isn't poisonous. It just hurt a little." "Belch." Richie covered his bleeding hand and was about to bandage the wound. Henry was also about to leave. He had no intention of staying here. Before the two of them left, Belch suddenly hesitated and called them back. The boy seemed nervous. "That, Julie and the others, no need for those nude photos anymore. Just chase her away," Belch said slowly. She's my sister anyway." The teenager scratched his head, although he had just been fed bitter fruit by Siddle, feeling extremely humiliated, but at the same time Belch also thought about her relationship with his mother. His already hesitant mood was shaken at this moment. "Whatever," Henry sneered, rolled his eyes, snorted, and cursed. As long as you can bear being at home with your good sister and being a good son on the day, Low Shoulders is going to perform. Belch, it's not impossible. He hesitated for a moment before reluctantly answering. Siddle said thoughtfully, life here is so rich. Belch. He didn't understand what this meant, but he felt a little strange that a girl like Siddle liked to read this kind of news. Before leaving the room that had been his only hour ago, Belch looked back and saw the girl who had just been reading the social news opening her suitcase and taking out a square wooden box and a thick notebook. She sat down at the table and turned on the light. The next day, when Belch left the mansion, he saw his sister who had fallen from the sky still slowly eating breakfast. She was still wearing a long black coat that was large enough to hide her figure. Her slightly drooping eyelashes cast shadows on her lower eyelids. When those blue eyes could not be seen, her appearance was very gloomy. Belch thought about today at school. Julie and the others would be ready to attack at any moment. He hesitantly stopped his steps. Sister. He opened his mouth, facing the girl sitting at the dining table, saying, why do you have to listen to my mother so seriously? Just deal with her as you please. If you agree to leave Derry Town, I can also make them stop the bullying and violence. If it wasn't necessary, Belch actually didn't intend to let his blood-related sister be bullied, but he really wanted to escape his mother's shackles once and for all. Siddle was a great opportunity. So he hesitated. After he finished speaking, the girl still acted as if she didn't know anything and continued eating breakfast, seemingly completely ignoring him. He left the villa without saying anything more. Anyway, it's not a big deal, just scared her a little. Belch thought sadly. On the wide street, the morning sky gradually brightened. The woman in uniform was yawning and rushing home. Her face looked tired but couldn't hide her excitement. She was holding a very large toy box. But perhaps because she was walking too fast, when she got close to the door, she accidentally slipped and fell. The key in her hand and the toy box both flew far away. The woman screamed in pain, stood up with difficulty, slowly brushed the dust off her knees, looked up and saw a girl standing in front of her toy box. To be exact, the doll in the box fell out and slid to the girl's feet. She stood in front of the only villa on this street, looking down at the doll. At first, the woman named Karen thought that she would help her pick it up, but the tall and thin girl just silently looked at the doll for a while, her hands still in her pockets, indifferently taking a step back. After Karen picked up the key, she staggered towards the doll. The girl's indifferent attitude made her a little embarrassed. However, Karen quickly comforted herself. At first glance she knew that she seemed to be a rich young lady, who had close relations with people like Belch. It was normal for such people to be cold. She stiffly walked towards the girl, bent down to pick up the toy box containing the very large doll, and suddenly heard the girl say, her voice cold and clear. What is this? Karen picked up the toy and raised her head to see the girl in the black hood with an extremely beautiful face, her blue eyes sparkling coldly, as if she was looking at something, staring at the doll in her arms expressionlessly. Karen didn't know why she felt a little uneasy. She hugged the doll in her arms, trying to smile gently. This is a birthday present I bought for my son. He has wanted it for a long time. Your son's taste is really unique. Karen was a little unhappy, frowning and saying, this is a talking doll that is very popular with children recently. You can turn on any TV channel and see advertisements for it. Seeing the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl looking down, the expression on her snow-white face remained unchanged, seemingly listening to Karen talking, yet also as if she was absent-minded. Karen suddenly felt that it was funny to seriously disseminate information to people. She was a little angry, hugged the doll and turned away quickly, returning to her front door.